Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Chamber Chat Live. My name is Bill Vitiello from the Victory Bank. Before we begin our broadcast today, we want to thank our TriCounty Area Chamber of Commerce 2021 Mission and Vision Partners, our MVPs. You take a look, they are community leaders who have put up some financial resources to make sure that the Chamber continues its programming, which includes this program. So thank you so much for your sponsorship and really looking forward to a great year ahead. So good afternoon once again, everyone. Bill Vitiello here. I'm the Director of Institutional Relationships and the Director of Marketing for the Victory Bank in Limerick. Welcome again to this episode, podcast, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're consuming it. We thank you for tuning in. This is our second to last episode for this season, and then we're going to be taking a break. I'll announce a little bit more details in our final episode on Wednesday. But my guest today is, it's very timely because just over the weekend, my wife and I were having a discussion with somebody who sold their home in record time and with a whole lot of things being waived. So anxious to hear about his opinion, but more importantly, his history. Please welcome my guest today, Jim Crawford from the Better Homes and Gardens Realty. Hi, Jim. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Thanks for having me, Bill.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for taking the opportunity to be on. Like I said, this is very timely that we have you on here because there's still a whole lot going on in the real estate market.
There surely is.
Yeah.
We've referred to it as the Wild Wild West recently.
Yes. Well, we're going to get into that in a moment. But before we begin, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background, please.
Sure. My name is Jim Crawford. I'm a realtor with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. I've been in the business about 2 years now. Was in the corporate sales world for a very long time. As a lot have, I just decided I wanted to go out on my own. And so to put those sales skills to use for good rather than evil, so to speak. Better Homes and Gardens is located in Phoenixville. I'm based in Upper Pottsgrove, Pennsylvania. We've been in Upper Pottsgrove for 11 years now. I've got a couple of kids in the Pottsgrove School District. My wife works at Pottstown Hospital. And so I know that Pottstown area really, really well, and I kind of operate in between there and Phoenixville and beyond.
Gotcha. And that Better Homes and Gardens location there in Phoenixville, that's what it's kind of like right on the corner. There's some converging streets there, right?
Yes, 508 Bridge Street. And in fact, I can't think of it now, but there's a movie or a series that's out right now that was filmed in what was the gas station prior to us having this facility.
Yes, I will help you out there. That is the Mayor of Easttown.
That's the one. That's the one. I've heard it's good. I haven't watched it yet.
It is fantastic, and Kate Winslet does a great job. She doesn't ever visit the location there, does she?
Yes. Well, not since we've been here, but she was here filming for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys are right across the street from PAX, the Phoenixville Area Community Services as well. So
yes.
So that's great. So that's awesome because, like you said, between Phoenixville and Upper Pottsgrove, you know that market pretty well. And you know, anytime I talk with a realtor, it's all about knowing the market. So tell us a little bit about how you go about that. I know experience and kind of living here is one thing, but knowing the actual nuances of, you know, really understanding that market is something a little bit different. Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, technology is your friend. If you're good with technology, there is a ton of data that helps point you in the right direction. I mean, obviously, feet on the ground certainly helps. There are certain neighborhoods that might perform differently than others, and they may be right next to one another. And so, you know, it's a lot of homework for sure, and paying attention to the statistics and just the market in general, keeping a pulse on what's going on locally.
Yeah, and I also see your so first of all, you're former military, so thank you for your service.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. You're also involved in some other groups, and I would imagine those groups help keep you informed as well. Can you give us a little bit about what you do in the community?
Sure. I am an assistant coach for my son's soccer team at Pottsgrove Soccer Club. Been with coaching with him for the last 6 years or so. And I also coach the girls' middle school soccer team at Pottsgrove Middle School. So, certainly an opportunity to talk to more folks and just understand how they're feeling and what they see in the market as well. Stats can tell you a piece of the puzzle, but you certainly need to be able to understand the feelings of the area as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So earlier we discussed this is the wild wild west right now of what's going on with buying and selling. So I guess kind of give us a market update in this particular area. You read about the national, then you read the regional. What's the local pulse on what's happening right now? Are things still hot, or are they starting to cool off a little bit?
Yes, they are still hot for sure. As you mentioned, you have someone that just went through the process. In a lot of cases, homes are going for well over asking price with very little contingencies, and it doesn't seem to be any one particular market segment. It's from the smallest dollar home all the way to the highest dollar home, and everything in between. We've seen recently in the upper Pottsgrove area, things go under contract in 7-ish days. Usually they'll go up on a Wednesday or so and be under contract by Sunday.
It's ridiculously fast. That's what I was saying. The couple that we talked to over the weekend, I want to say it was less than 48 hours. And they said their first offer they got was above ask. They waived the inspections, no contingency, like they just walk right in. And they did receive subsequent offers. They just weren't as good as the first one. So it's crazy right now.
It really is. And it's dangerous on the buyer side of things because of how aggressive you need to be in order to get under contract. From a seller's perspective, it's wonderful. They get multiple offers. Which, keeping in mind, price isn't always the best factor. There are a lot of terms in those contracts, and having the right realtor make sure that you are aware of all of those different factors rather than just that price number, because that's nice, but there are times where it's not worth the paper that it's written on when it really comes down to it.
Yeah. And in this market too, my wife and I, we often have just a kind of open kind of, hey, what if we sold, sort of thing. But I think the reality is as soon as we become a seller, we also become a buyer. So are you seeing scenarios where there's folks like me who might be considering selling and are maybe apprehensive towards, again, being a buyer and facing that other competition out there?
Certainly. I mean, that is probably the number one factor right now of why the inventory is so low. There's a ton of buyers out there, but because of the competition, sellers are reluctant to put their house up because they have to figure out their next move. There's a lot of different potential opportunities there. I've had some folks recently that have moved back in with parents temporarily. While that's not the most fun thing in the world for a lot of people, I understand. Strategically, they got a really good price for their home, and it's going to allow them to have some stronger buying power going forward. There are things like long-term rentals. There are sellers that are doing rent backs. So they sell their home, but they are allowed to then rent it for a period of time from the new owner while they search for their home. So there are strategies, if you're working with the right agent, that you can accomplish what you want to in the time that you need to.
That's really interesting. So are you seeing folks, what percentage of folks that are selling, again, they become buyers, what percentage are actually finding something within a reasonable amount of time and other ones making some other decisions, whether or not they're maybe renting on, some main street. I'm thinking of Phoenixville specifically, the main street apartments there, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, I mean, I guess really what it comes down to is what someone's determination of a reasonable time is, right?
True.
Reasonable for one seller might be different than another. What I found is if folks work with a competent agent that knows what they're doing, and there are a lot of them out there, we can accomplish what needs to get done by being strategic, by hustling. I mean, there are as many good agents are out there. There are others that use the technology to sort of set it and forget it. That's not a way to accomplish what you need to in this market. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I know there's many aspects to this question. So I'll just ask you to maybe give a little bit higher level overview. But if I'm a seller, like where do I start finding a realtor? Where do I start prepping my home? How do I start prepping it? What are some of the things I need to look out for? Could you give us kind of a high level overview there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, really, presentation is one thing as far as you're getting your home ready. You want it to look as beautiful as possible, both inside and out. And that starts with some basic landscaping, obviously, from the outside, that curb appeal. I do have some buyer and seller guides that I can add the link to that can help people along that process. There's a lot of different factors. One of them, of course, is the financial part of things, making sure that you have your mortgage pre-approval set up in advance, obviously. And then from an agent perspective, really, it's important to interview them to find out how they really tick. Everyone has different personalities, and you want to be able to have frank and real conversations with your agent and vice versa, because these are big decisions, right? And I think all too often folks just work with somebody that they may know, but that's not always the best course of action if they're not experienced in what you're looking to have accomplished.
I was going to ask you that because I've seen a lot of situations where somebody says, "Oh, my friend's a realtor," or "My family member's a realtor," and then you get into the nitty gritty of the contracts and things that need to be done, and the relationship goes really wrong in some cases, not all cases.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many folks have that situation where a cousin or an uncle is in the business, and they choose not to work with them simply because they don't want to mix business with family. It can get challenging at times, and again, that's why I said you have to be able to have a frank discussion, right? Because there are times where it's better not to do something or better to do something, and you have to be able to have those tough conversations if you want to accomplish your end goal.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask your opinion, and again, this is just your opinion.
Sure.
Where do you think all of this is going? Do you think this is going to last another 6 months, another year, another 2 years? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, so the experts out there in the world are saying that this market could last through 2022. Really difficult to predict. I know there's a lot of talk of a bubble bursting. However, this market is not the same as it was way back when there was a burst. I mean, that was specifically due to improper lending. They gave too much money to people that couldn't afford to pay back that money. Today's market, the lenders are very strict with their requirements for those loans. And so the folks that are out there with their pre-approvals are real buyers. And so until we can get some more folks to list and increase that inventory, I think we're going to stay in this same market.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. I wanted to talk about, so in your list of certifications, you have quite a few, and maybe if you take like one or two sentences to kind of break down and explain what each one of these mean. First one you have is a pricing strategy advisor, a PSA.
Sure. Yeah. Basically, that one, there are techniques in the real estate business to price a home for a listing, and to make an offer for that matter. Some of that is technology driven, and some of it is historical driven. And so that certification, basically, you have to go through a process to understand how to use all the tools that are available to get to that right number that makes sense. And that, again, is for listings and for someone that's looking to write an offer, because obviously you don't want to spend more than you should on a home.
Right. So you're definitely not throwing darts in that situation.
No, no. And interestingly enough, that came fairly easy to me in this industry, simply because I've led sales organizations in the past, and so I understand profit and loss. So, to some folks that may be a challenging aspect. To me, it just was natural based on my sales background.
Right. All right. How about the second designation I'm seeing here is the digital marketing expert?
Sure, ePro. And so ePro is a certification for folks to understand how to use digital marketing most effectively for real estate specifics. There are a ton of opportunities out there of ways to get more eyes on your listing. That's really what it comes down to. Today's market, unfortunately, we can't get the homes up onto the digital platforms fast enough before they go under contract. But when the market shifts, it's important to have somebody that understands how to get the most eyes on the property, and the most eyes strategically, the right buyers.
Gotcha. How about the at home with diversity, the AHWD designation?
Sure, that one is more ethics driven, right? So one of the areas of a realtor's code of ethics is we are not to steer someone from one neighborhood to another based on any diversity classifications. Those are opinions that we are to keep to ourselves, right? And just understanding the different markets and being able to communicate effectively with everyone, regardless of their differences.
Gotcha. And lastly, how about the commitment to excellence?
Sure. So that's one from the National Association of Realtors, and again, it is a guide to understand the best practices when working with buyers or sellers, to give them the highest level of service and not just get the home sold or get them under contract. There are far too many agents that look at it as statistics. They get it under contract and move on to the next one. My goal when working with folks is to build a relationship that's lasting, right? So that when they make their next move, or when their children 20 years later decide to make a move, I'm the one that gets the help.
That's what I was going to say. It really is relationship based. I mean, we've talked about a number of, different aspects to selecting a realtor and kind of things to look out for along the way. But it really does come down to relationships.
Surely does. Surely does. One of the things that I do on the side for the real estate business is I do similar interviews with folks to help their message get out to the world for businesses and organizations. And I mean, that's what we should be doing, right? Everyone helping one another for the greater good, and it helps each of us, right? Ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a few more moments left here. I wanted to again thank you for being on today, and just wanted to ask maybe what prompted you to be on today with Chamber Chat.
Yeah, I've been a member of the chamber for about 2 years now, and interestingly enough, when I joined, it was just before the COVID situation, and so I did not get to do some of the things that we traditionally would have been able to do from a networking perspective. I love the video format. It's where things are going nowadays, and so I saw it as a great opportunity to be able to share my message with the folks out there.
Well, it is a great opportunity. And for folks that haven't met Jim yet, you've now met him. But
Yes.
hopefully we get a chance to meet you in person sometime soon. And I know you and I have never met. So, always open for a coffee or lunch, or looking forward to see you out at a networking event. So
looking forward to it.
yeah. So for those folks, again, who are on Facebook Live here, we're going to put Jim's contact information down in the show notes. And then, Jim, if you also would be kind enough to send us those links for the buyer and the seller guide, I
Yes.
think folks would really find that helpful.
Absolutely. It's a free resource and kind of walks you through all of the things that you need to think about.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to add before we go? Sorry.
No, thank you very much. And thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for all that they do for businesses out there.
Awesome. I know a lot of folks from the Chamber are watching, so they heard that message. So thank you for the compliments. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So folks, once again, my guest today has been Jim Crawford, Realtor from Better Homes and Gardens in Phoenixville. My name is Bill Vitiello from the Victory Bank. And until we connect again, all my best. Bye for now.